Hey y'all, it's Janet Lees and welcome back to my channel. I am going to be retrellising a Hoya Pubicalyx x Carnosa with you all today, while I also introduce you to my new series. So welcome to Dre Learns Hoyas. So in this series, we'll be unpacking care, nerding out about the geography and the history of the plant, assessing what mature plants look like, and I will also be curating plans for how I intend to care for the plant in order to get it to look kind of like the mature version. I want to just name that I have started to get to the point in this hobby where I'm starting to really like the nerdy things. So I'm also indexing? I'm essentially organizing a list of keeping track of all the plants that I have. And something I want to do is be able to actually have a plan for each of the plants. And if I'm not actually excited about creating a plan for that specific plant, then either A, it doesn't need to be here in my collection and I can get rid of it, or I don't even think there's an or. I think that's really it. If I'm not excited about the plant, I don't know why I would have it. With that being said, let's start off with this Hoya Pubicalyx x Carnosa. So I do have my notebook here. Yeah, I've been taking notes. Okay, so I will occasionally during this retrellising be looking at the notebook just to kind of share some of the information. Also, because this plant does not have a heavy bottom, I do also want to change the pot. So I'm gonna just lay it down real quick. I got these yellow stained terracottas, and I'm also gonna use them for some other plants that are coming that will hopefully be my last. This doesn't seem like the right way. That seems like the right way. Yeah, so for some other plants that are coming, but I'll just take that out for now. I don't intend to use the terracotta on its own because things would dry out very quickly. I think my plants currently, I'm watering them once a week-ish. Most of the plants, at least. I do water based off what they need. Some plants are not getting watered during my Sunday watering, and I know that people will be like, don't be scheduling. Sometimes you need a watering day or an assessment day, and I do check in with my plants regularly. That's not related to this video, but anywho, I'm just chatting. So now that we have the other pot, I think it'll be easier. Let's see, if I put it in there, will it tilt back? No, because it's heavier. So this will just go into my stash. And then just for context, this is the trellis that I intend to put it on. I wasn't sure how I felt about the hoop trellis, but I figure it'll be all right. I don't know how much I like these, but I ordered a pack, and this is my mistake. I wasn't paying attention, so it came with circle trellises. And the reason I don't like this one, it just seems really big, like my whole head fits through it. But I do think that this one grows fast enough to kind of fill it out, and it would look cute. So yeah, we're gonna go with that one. Now it is also putting out a new leaf, so I do want to be very, very gentle with this process. Oh my, my. And this is why people do not like retrellising. And I also don't intend to do this more regularly, if that makes sense. Anywho, to kind of share some information before we jump in. So this is a hybrid between Carnosa and Pubicalyx. So according to my research, Pubicalyx originates from the Philippines, and then Carnosa originates from East Asia and Australia. So both of those, both of the, I guess, parent plants are typically known to be fast growers. And I think that's what makes this one a pretty fast grower. Because when I first got into Hoya, people made it seem like they don't grow. And I realized that the people that were probably making it seem that way they're not necessarily doing a ton of research on the plant. I'm gonna actually face it towards me while I'm trellising. So I couldn't actually find when it was originally hybridized, if that makes sense. So I don't know when that occurred. I couldn't find it. That doesn't mean y'all can't find it. If y'all find it, you tell me in the comments. However, I do know that this one in particular, people grow it either trailing, which I mean, I'm sure it would look beautiful. And then they also grow it trellising. I will be growing mine in the trellised form because that's what I like. I also, oh my goodness, there's a new vine coming in the pot. Oh, Love, absolute love. Okay, so let's just get into the re-trellising. So this is the way y'all are seeing is gonna be like the back, basically. All right, so this is what it will look like. So one vine I will wrap coming, or should I do them both? Should they cross over each other? I feel like it would allow for a more full look quicker. Yeah, not me asking, like y'all can answer. Crying. Yeah, so I'm wrapping it this way. Yeah, I think that will also just allow me to have the aesthetic that looks the best without having, oh Christ. So I don't want to do that one too tight right there. Okay, I might actually just put it through right here, and then, all right, I just poured out way too many butterfly clips, but what can I really say at this point? What can I say? So something that people say all the time is that you cannot trellis your Hoya. They need to be counterclockwise. Is that it? I don't know what that, like, I know obviously what the word counterclockwise means, but I don't know why I have such a hard time wrapping it that way. So this is kind of what it's looking like for now. I left these like this, and I might even bring this one so that could be in the front, and just clip it. I just don't want it to be pointing downward, actually. So maybe I won't, and maybe I'll clip this one, both of them here. I do just want to make sure that they're able to point upward, that they don't feel like they're forced to go downward, which this is like, it's like pointing to the side. Is that downward? I think these should be fine. I do just want to share now that I've re-trellised the plant. So I essentially learned that, like, they have, in terms of blooms, they get these reddish pink blooms. I'll just put them on the screen somewhere. And I think the blooms are really cool. I like Hoya blooms. I'm starting to learn more about like what the corolla is versus the corona and all the different things. And you know, obviously the blooms come from the peduncles. But what I really thought was fascinating was that both Pubicalyx and Carnosa are both like very slow bloomers. So this isn't a plant that I guess I would be sitting here like not encouraging it to bloom, but I wouldn't be planning on that anytime soon, at least. Definitely not for the next few years, until it definitely fills out a whole lot more. And also I wouldn't be mad if it just chose to never bloom, because the foliage on the plant is very nice. So the leaves have really nice splashing, which oftentimes with Hoya you get good splashing with very expensive plants, but this isn't an expensive plant and it's still very beautiful. It's a fast grower, so I know that at least within like the next year or so, this trellis is going to be filled up. And like, transparently, with the way that I'm seeing the leaves are going to pop out, and the fact that I have only had this plant for a few months, and I definitely, all the leaves that you see on the trellis are actually new growth. So that being said, I'm excited to see where this Hoya takes me. So in terms of care, I've seen a lot of folks saying that they water when dry. That's not something that they like let it completely dry out. I don't let my Hoyas dry out. That hasn't made sense to me. I didn't understand that, especially once you look up where they're from. And considering that Pubicalyx is from the Philippines and Carnosa is from East Asia and Australia, that is not they are not growing in places where they are completely drying out. They are not. So you definitely don't want to do that. So how I intend to care for mine right now is I will water when essentially I look at the top half of the soil. So I'll take it out so you can see the cover pot. When this soil when it appears dry, I also then take a look at the bottom there. And if it is looking completely dry, which this one actually is, it does need a water, then what I will do is I actually will soak the plant. I am not going to give it a little sit. I will soak the plant. So for me currently, that's giving roughly once a week that I'm doing that. I also have started feeding the plants weekly, and for this one, I intend to feed it weekly, all year round. I know that people typically say that, especially in the winter, you don't have to fertilize your plants, but I think because I use grow lights, I have a humidifier that y'all could probably see behind me, and a grow light. I have multiple lights, like I can regulate the heat in this environment as well. There's no reason for me to stop because my plants are growing all year round. For example, I got this plant in January in New York City. That is some of the peak cold times, and it's been growing because I've been able to foster the proper conditions for it. So that being said, I have no intentions of not fertilizing the plant. So I am giving it a diluted dose of fertilizer in its water per week. Because I'm not focusing on blooms per se, I will be using GT Foliage Focus. And if at some point I start seeing peduncles, then I will switch over to using like a fertilizer that is tailored towards blooms. So they do have like blooming fertilizer. There's like the Missoula, is that what it's called? Missoula, one of those joints. You can use that as well. But for now, that's not where I'm at. I'm focused on getting the foliage to get nice and big. So I'd be using GT Foliage Focus weekly. But yeah, so that's kind of my plan with this plant here. I am really excited, and I will also do some Hoya updates throughout the rest of this year, because at this current juncture, they are quickly gunning for philodendron of taking the spot of favorite plant. But anywho, thanks for stopping in, and I am excited to get the next video from this series out to y'all. Bye.